Good evening y bienvenido to Chicago Tonight Latino Voices. I'm Michael Puente, reporter with WBEZ Chicago. Thank you for sharing part of your weekend with us. On the show tonight, property taxes take a startling jump in many Latino communities. We talk with community organizers about how their neighborhoods have been affected. Opposition to CPD's new gang database system grows louder. Details on why the Interim Police Oversight Board wants to scrap plans for the database. Through a rediscovered trove of photos and ephemera, a new exhibition explores the world of Chicago's Latino artists and poets of the 1980s and 90s. And an advanced look at Pilsen Gourmet, an event celebrating Latino chefs shaping Chicago's cuisine scene.
When it comes to the courses, I feel like they're also another part of your motivation.
And we take you inside a boxing club in Little Village, teaching kids skills in and out of the ring. All that coming up, but our first story tonight, the startling hike in property taxes for some residents. That's right after this.
Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices, is made possible in part by the support of these donors.
Many Cook County residents got an unwelcome surprise this month when their new property tax bill arrived with a hefty hike, especially those living in largely Latino communities. According to analysis by the Cook County Treasurer's Office, the median residential bill in the Logan Square neighborhood rose about 18% to over $8,600. In nearby Avondale, the median bill went up about 27% to about $7,600. And in Pilsen, it skyrocketed 46% to more than $7,200. Joining us now to talk about how Latino communities are dealing with this blow are Evelyn Tapia, Director of Housing and Financial Services at Brighton Park Neighborhood Council, and Moises Moreno, Executive Director of the Pilsen Alliance, and Christian Diaz, Director of Housing at Palenque LSNA. Welcome all of you to Latino Voices. Well, Moises, we'll get started with you. The Pilsen community saw a massive increase in their tax bill. What's been the reaction there so far?
Folks that have come in and reached out to us directly are in shock, right? Seeing property tax bills double. In one particular case, we have a longtime homeowner got a bill of over $10,000. And this is, again, not something that they could afford, and their folks are running around looking for help, right? And we've heard folks saying this is not fair. What can I do? So again, folks coming to us, we definitely want to provide that immediate support, but also trying to really change the system that's negatively impacting, our communities in Chicago. So we're definitely hearing frustration and fear coming from homeowners here in Pilsen.
Now, Christian, Logan Square and Avondale were also affected. What are you hearing from your neighbors about this?
I think there's a lot of anger, distress, uncertainty, and a deep feeling that this is really unfair. If you look at the property tax increases averaging throughout the city, it's 8%. So when Latino communities, Latinx communities, see the increase in the 20th percentile, then we really feel like we're being targeted. And we felt targeted for a long time because of gentrification. We know those property tax increases are due to demolitions, to new construction, and to speculation in the housing market, which for some reason increases the value of land when white people deem a neighborhood as desirable.
Now, Evelyn, Brighton Park on the southwest side saw a modest increase according to the analysis. But you have a lot of renters in your community. Do you anticipate this will affect rent costs?
Yes, we have a few that have come in being frantic because the taxes have increased a little bit. Therefore, most likely the rent is going to increase. And right now, we are in a low modern income area. So knowing the holidays coming up, it's going to be a little bit hard just because, they're trying to get out of the situation, but it's going to put a more burden on them.
Now, Moises, aside from appeals, what response would you like to see from your elected officials?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think definitely at the local level, I mean, we've been having ongoing conversations with our Cook County Commissioner, Almanaya, who made a commitment to work with us in the community not just at the county level, but at the state level, because it seems like the politicians are passing the hot potato around when we talk about high property taxes. So we definitely want to see the legislative political will, right, being exercised now more than ever. So we're hoping folks down in Springfield and the governor can definitely really hear the voices from the community. And as I mentioned before, given that we're coming into municipal election cycle, one mayoral candidates also to make this one of their main issues, because this is definitely impacting our community. So we definitely need political action now.
Now, Christian Diaz, why do you think Latino communities were particularly affected by this hike when other communities actually saw decreases?
There's a longstanding history of communities being targeted by speculators, bankers, investors who have an opportunity to flip property, to flip land by displacing people of color. And so this is not a new story. This is something that's happened to Lincoln Park, to Wicker Park. There's a history of disinvestment followed by rapid gentrification. And so the difference between the Latino communities seeing these increases and the Black neighborhoods where the property taxes have gone down is that white people aren't willing to move into these Black neighborhoods due to racism.
Evelyn Tapia, the Brighton Park community has become a more affordable alternative to people priced out of areas like Pilsen. Are you seeing any signs of gentrification in your community?
Luckily not yet, but there's been talks, so we are a little bit concerned on that happening, just because it's gonna impact the Hispanic community, and more, I think we need more of assistance with rental, as the homeowners do get assistance when it comes down to their mortgage.
Mr. Moreno, are you concerned that this hike will push more Latinos out of Chicago?
Absolutely, and unfortunately, I mean, that's, and it's not just because of the high property taxes, but including the high rents that come along with it. But the effects of the pandemic, we're still seeing families struggling to pay rent, utilities. So we're definitely still feeling the effects of displacement. And again, yes. So unfortunately, we're holding it down. I mean, the communities like Pilsen, La Vita, just immediately west of us, we're definitely resisting gentrification, displacement. But until we really see the systemic reforms that our communities have been fighting for, we're going to unfortunately probably still see people being pushed out.
Christian Diaz, what resources are out there for people struggling with their property tax hike?
There are senior tax exemptions, but the reality is that we need to see a lot more being done.
Okay.
And we want to highly encourage residents to call up their aldermen, call up your state reps, your state senators, let them know that this is hurting you, hurting your pocket, and that we need innovative and bold solutions to create more property tax relief, especially for the long-term homeowners. In Chicago, the majority of affordable housing is provided by mom and pop landlords who own 2 flats and 3 flats. And so when property taxes increase, but our wages don't and our incomes don't, then a lot of times these mom and pop homeowners are forced to raise rents or sell their buildings, which further accelerates gentrification and displacement. So we need more bold property tax relief for long-term homeowners, especially those who are low income, working class, and people of color.
Moise Moreno, what are you telling people in terms of resources with those who are struggling to pay their tax bill?
Well, right now, again, like we're working with the Band-Aid solution, which is appeal your taxes. We have been successful as far as working in community with mutual aid support. So we know that folks may not always get that financial support from local government, but communities, we do come together, we do support each other. So we're going to continue that work and be a resources for the residents here in our community and throughout Chicago. So really, it's going to depend on us. So that's kind of how we see the solution being driven from folks that are being mostly impacted.
And Evelyn, what kind of resources or advice are you giving people in your neighborhood struggling with this higher tax bill?
So it's a little bit of something like, Moises and Christian have been saying is, speaking to their officials, letting them know that, this is the need that they require. Aside from that, if they are, behind, there is a state program right now with this homeowners assistance fund that do help anyone that is behind with their property taxes, whether it's attached to their mortgage or not. it helps them to bring their taxes current. So that's something that we're also assisting with.
Well, Evelyn Tapia, I'm going to ask you the last question. Why do you think it's important to keep Chicago affordable for Latino families?
I think it's a community. It's something that you always hear is Chicago's population with Hispanics. It's something that I think has been brought up to us even when we were little. I think everybody comes to Chicago. It's a thing. So it's something that we need, and it needs to be kept in our culture and in our Hispanic roots.
Well, our thanks to Evelyn Tapia, Moses Moreno, and Christian Diaz. We recently spoke with Cook County Assessor Fritz Kagi about the latest installment of property taxes. You can watch that conversation on our website. Up next, Paris Schutz with a look at calls for the CPD to scrap its plans for a new gang database. Stay with us.
The city's new police oversight board is urging the Chicago Police Department to scrap its plans for a new gang database system. That database would be used to track Chicagoans believed to be members of gangs, but there have been concerns regarding fair treatment for Black and Latino residents. WTTW News reporter Heather Sharon joins us now with more. Heather, the new Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, they've been vocal about their opposition to any gang database. So why does the commission want it scrapped?
Well, they say that the new policy, which hasn't been finalized, has too many questions about how it will operate, how it will be used, and whether people listed in the database will be notified and given an opportunity to object. This, of course, comes more than 3.5 years after the former Inspector General found that the original gang databases used by the Chicago Police Department were riddled with errors, ripe for abuse, and disproportionately targeted Black and Latino residents. The commission doesn't want to see those problems reoccur.
What's the police department's response to this?
They say that it is crucial for the police department to have a database to track gang members to fight crime, and they say they will work with the commission to ensure that it meets the standards of constitutional policing and represents feedback from the community.
And then there was a recent commission meeting where the police kind of laid out how they're currently tracking folks that they believe are involved in gangs. What did they say about how many gang members they believe exist in Chicago right now?
Well, right now, apparently, they believe there is 1,074 members of gangs listed in the database. It's not clear what information was used to designate those people as they were gang members, and none of those people have been given an opportunity to get themselves removed from that database, which the commission says is a real problem.
We should remind our viewers that this is the Police Accountability Commission. It's brand new, and now there are folks running to be elected to these posts. So what does this issue tell us about how this board is going to be?
Well, it indicates that the commission, at least in its interim form, is really taking its charge to exercise oversight over the police department very seriously, and that they're not afraid of confrontations. This, of course, will be all sort of started anew after the February elections, when those elected positions are filled and a new citywide commission is appointed. Whether they will continue pushing against these sort of policies, it remains to be seen.
Right, and there are multiple people running in these positions, so we'll see how those elections. What's next for specifically this issue, the gang database?
Well, it's not clear when the police department wants to launch this new system, which has been in the works really since 2019, and whether it would get the sign-off of the federal judge, who of course is overseeing the police department as part of the consent decree after previous investigations that showed problems with how the police department was interacting with Black and Latino Chicagoans.
All right, Heather Sharon, thanks very much.
Thanks, Paris.
And you can read Heather's full story on our website, WTTW.com/news. And we're back with more Chicago Tonight Latino Voices right after this.
A boxing gym in the basement of a local church is on a mission to provide new opportunities for neighborhood kids. Chicago Tonight's Joanna Hernandez tells us more from Little Village.
It's Friday night and Coach Gabriel Navarro is hosting an amateur boxing tournament. I think it's driving me nuts.
Across the country go head to head.
I love seeing the kids win their trophies or their belts, and I just love the smile on their face.
Navarro is a former professional boxer who is head coach at Chicago Youth Boxing Club.
I like to teach what I've learned. Half of my coaches, they were fighters here first, and now they're coaches.
During the week, the gym is a packed house for practice. Students like Elizabeth Rodriguez come after school.
What I like about being here is that you come here, you have like a family, you support each other when sparring, and you could take out your anger or like just a stress reliever.
Most of the youth participating are from the Little Village neighborhood. 15-year-old Brandon Irales says he's lost 80 pounds since joining the boxing club.
I used to get bullied a lot, and I didn't like that, so I also felt like I couldn't do things that other people could do, so I decided to come back here and lose all the weight.
Navarro says the program focuses on giving kids confidence in and out of the ring.
He will never step in the ring like a year ago.
Really, never?
No, he said you're never going to do it, he's too fat, this and that. We could do it, and look at him now.
Chicago Youth Boxing Club started in 2006 as a refuge for young people seeking a positive outlet. Regula Cala participated in the program when he was a kid and now coaches others.
They give me different outlets because I grew up in the street. I had friends that were in gangs, friends that were doing bad stuff. I had friends that were doing good stuff, so it was up to me to choose, and this boxing really helped me guide myself.
The boxing club is in the basement of La Villita Community Church in Little Village. Noah Pickens is the new executive director and says he has big plans for the boxing center.
We really focus a lot on the boxing, the sport itself, but we also have a piece of our programming that's nutrition and health, right? And then on the third side, it'd be more like academic success and personal growth.
The team says it's getting ready to revamp programming beyond the ring. Mentor Alexis Rube is leading a tutoring program called Si Se Puede.
The vision is essentially to be able to help anyone and everyone in the community, whether that's through academic support, social emotional learning, or just providing a safe space for youth to be able to be there.
And some compete in tournaments like this in hopes to be good enough to go pro.
A lot of them, come in and they're nationally ranked, or they're hoping to get nationally ranked, and all that opens doors for the possibilities of what it is that someone may want to do, whether it's in boxing or in something else.
For Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices, I'm Joanna Hernandez.
The Boxing Center is open Monday through Fridays from 3 to 9 p.m. To learn more about the club, head over to our website, WTTW.com/news. Illustrator, photographer, and poet Diana Solis cut her artistic teeth in Chicago's Pilsen neighborhood. And throughout the 1980s and 90s, she encountered and photographed many of her fellow artists along the way. A new exhibition at the Poetry Foundation titled Encuentros, Photographs of Chicago Poetry Communities 1978 through 1994, resurfaces some of her lost long photos and ephemera to create a fuller picture of the community Solis helped create.
The show is Diana Solis, Encuentros, Photographs of Chicago Poetry Communities, 1978 through 1994. And the show looks at Diana Solis's life and engagement with art and literature in Chicago. It's a living archive of photographs from a unique place in Chicago's history, primarily focused on Pilsen and Humboldt Park communities, black and brown poets, Latinx poets. Diana Solis was born in 1956 in Monterrey, Mexico, and resettled in Chicago's Pilsen area. As we know, a port of entry for many Latino people in Chicago. She sort of began her artistic career with a Kodak Instamatic that was gifted to her by her mother. And she found a lot of encouragement growing up with her family. Her father was a machinist, but really emphasized and valued art in the home and would recite poems to her in Spanish and take her shopping at the Jazz Record Mart, and after work make sure that they would visit museums. And so it was very much part of her life. So Diana is a visual artist, an illustrator, photographer, but she's also a poet. And her photographs illustrate the field or the sort of constellation of poets and artists in our community. One of the things I love about this show is that, you know, it's bilingual, it's multidisciplinary, so we're looking at the way poetry engages with the visual arts, with performance, with music, and sort of understanding this as a whole experience and not like these siloed art forms. Understanding that this is about ways that we communicate with each other. The lead curators of the show are Nicole Maraquin at the School for the Art Institute, who is also a wonderful artist herself, and Oscar Arreola, who is a photographer, curator. So this archive was in someone's basement, and it could no longer stay there. And so Nicole was called in, and I believe she sort of texted Oscar saying, you got to come check out this stuff. And then he arrives for the unboxing. Photographs, notebooks, contact sheets, broadsides, books. It was just a gold mine. It is so valuable to recognize these poets and to see these poets and to make space and to provide care for their future survival, you know, through these photographs, but then also through ways that we exist in this world. This is an active project, and so we require people to come and see this work and fill in the gaps, tell us what we have wrong, and then add to it, because this is a living, breathing archive.
Encuentros runs at the Poetry Foundation through January 14th. You'll find more on that on our website. Standing in the heart of Chicago, the Pilsen neighborhood has played many roles in the city's food history. A port of entry for the immigrant workforce that powers restaurants, a center for food distribution, and increasingly a hotspot for Latino chefs cooking up innovation. The upcoming event, Pilsen Gourmet, aligns some of those culinary stars to showcase all the flavors of Latino cuisine. Here's Erica Gunderson.
Back in Mexico, my father was cooking behind the kitchen. I never seen a man cooking, always women, right? And so I saw my dad doing it, and I'm thinking, oh, and then he came out with all these ingredients and then come out with something good. And to me, that was like magic. Habanero chile.
Since Chef Dudley Nieto began his culinary career in Chicago nearly 40 years ago, he's helped shape the city's dining scene and paved the way for many Latino chefs who followed him. And as the culinary advisor for the upcoming event Pilsen Gourmet, Nieto is hoping to give diners a taste of Chicago's food future.
I think our representation as a Latino chefs is so important in this city because of the food staples that we do in every case, right? We have chefs from Guatemala, chefs from Honduras, chefs from Colombia, Peru, Venezuela, of course Mexican. And so what we needed is to have this recognition of good talent. Right now, at this moment, everybody's coming with their ideas. All the Latin American chefs that we have, they have some cool, excellent ideas. I mean, you name it.
Event organizer Esmirna Garcia says in its second year, Pilsen Gourmet's plate is overflowing with flavors, colors, and culture of Chicago's diverse Latino cuisine scene.
It is a gathering of over 25 different chefs, 25 different restaurants, 4 or 5 different mixologists, different culinary brands, and representatives of the food industry in Chicago. You come in and you are able to sample a dish from each one of these prominent restaurants. So you come in and it's going to be filled with people just trying to feed you a piece of their kitchen and showcase what they're all about.
Latino mixologists will also be on hand to showcase the flavors and expertise they bring to the table.
We try to mix the ingredients. We incorporate some fruits and spices and dry peppers into the drink. It's probably 45 ingredients. Actually, it's some like the mole, and make it something different, and it's gonna pair the food, and it's gonna create another experience in your palate.
Garcia says that as the center of Chicago's food distribution and restaurant workforce, as well as its history as a Latino stronghold, Pilsen is the perfect setting for the event.
There's not a tomato that goes through any of the restaurants that doesn't go through the Pilsen portal of distribution hubs. The Latino community has played a huge role in feeding the rest of the Chicagoland area. It's due time to really celebrate what we really look forward to going and doing every week anyway. We go to different restaurants where our chefs are Latino, fixing our cuisine. So this is a great place to celebrate that in one night.
We're not going to think about the hangover, but we're going to have fun tonight. You know, it's what it's all about.
For Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices, this is Erica Gunderson.
Pilsen Gourmet takes place at Apollo's 2000 on December 16th. Information on tickets is on our website. And that's our show for this weekend. Don't forget you can catch my reporting on 91.5 FM WBEZ. Now for all of us here at Chicago Tonight Latino Voices, I'm Michael Puente. Thank you for sharing part of your weekend with us. Stay healthy, stay safe. Buenas noches.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a personal injury law firm pleased to give back to the community through numerous charitable initiatives.